Welcome back to the deep dive. Some days just feel like a whirlwind, and September 16, 2025 was absolutely one of them.
Definitely.
It was a day that packed in so much critical news, from intense global flashpoints to significant shifts right here in the U.S., and even groundbreaking tech.
A huge amount. Yeah.
It's a lot to process, and that's precisely why we're here. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Our mission today is to cut through that noise, pull out the most important nuggets, and give you a real shortcut to being well-informed without feeling totally overwhelmed.
What's truly fascinating here, and I think you'll see it unfold as we go, is how interconnected these seemingly disparate events really are.
Right.
September 16 wasn't just a busy news day. It was a series of significant tremors across a global landscape.
Tremor's a good word.
We saw major geopolitical conflicts escalating, rapid technological advancements, and economic policy decisions that will, ripple out for years. It highlights how understanding one piece often means grasping its connections to many others, revealing a larger pattern.
That's the perfect framing for this journey.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into what we're calling segment 1, global flashpoints and regional ripple effects.
Okay.
And here's where it gets really intense and, frankly, incredibly sobering. We have to start with the Israeli ground offensive,
Yes.
which saw significant escalation on September 16th, with news of forces pushing deep into Gaza City.
Indeed, this wasn't an isolated incident. It's a dramatic intensification following nearly 2 years of intermittent bombardments and smaller ground raids.
Right as in building.
Exactly. These prior actions had already reduced vast swaths of Gaza City to rubble, displaced hundreds of thousands, and shattered essential infrastructure.
It's devastating.
And on September 16th, Israel launched a major ground assault, deploying multiple divisions, with its defense minister stating the aim was the heart of the enclave.
The heart, wow.
Yeah. And the key insight here isn't just the tactical advance, but how the escalating accusations of genocide levied by UN inquiries and Arab leaders, citing indiscriminate strikes and collective punishment.
Those are very strong accusations.
Extremely strong. And they're fundamentally reshaping diplomatic options. This could potentially isolate allies or force new, unprecedented international responses.
So the fallout could be huge.
Potentially. We saw key regional governments swiftly criticize the operation, while the U.S. reaffirmed support for Israel's security, but also urged steps to limit civilian harm. A very delicate balance.
That's a powerful point about the long-term diplomatic impact beyond the immediate conflict. It's clear the humanitarian implications are devastating.
Absolutely.
But as you mentioned earlier, this conflict isn't contained to Gaza, is it?
No, definitely not.
Where else are these tensions spilling over, and what does that mean for the broader region?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the hostilities tied to the Gaza war are absolutely spilling over and creating new flashpoints. On September 16th, Israel also struck Houthi-held Hodeidah in Yemen.
Hodeidah, right. In Yemen.
Exactly. For context, the Houthis are an Iran-aligned movement known for their attacks on Red Sea shipping lanes in response to the Gaza conflict.
They've been quite active.
Very active. And they've targeted Israel itself since late 2023, drawing these retaliatory strikes. So this operation in Hodeidah underscores how these regional hostilities continue to ripple across the Red Sea and the Arabian Peninsula. What's critical here is the dual concern. Not only does it raise significant questions about maritime security for global powers relying on Red Sea trade routes,
Which affects basically everyone.
pretty much, but it also gravely hinders aid flowing into war-torn Yemen, especially if critical port facilities are damaged.
Oh, wow. So it hits humanitarian efforts, too.
Hard. It's a widening spiral that impacts global supply chains and humanitarian efforts far beyond the immediate combatants.
So it's not just a regional conflict, but one with global economic ramifications. A truly concerning development.
Very much so.
Now, let's shift our gaze to Eastern Europe, where we've seen persistent conflict for some time. What's the latest in Ukraine, especially with all these global tensions intensifying?
Well, in Ukraine, Russia's air campaign intensified significantly on September 16th. We saw strikes hitting cities like Zaporizhia and Kharkiv.
Again, that seems relentless.
It does. These attacks targeted energy and civilian infrastructure, causing casualties and fires in residential areas, including setting the roof of Kharkiv's National Pharmaceutical University ablaze.
Terrible. It's awful.
In direct response, Ukrainian President Zelensky issued an urgent call for European leaders to build an integrated, continent-wide air defense shield to counter these long-range
A
attacks.
whole shield for the continent. That's ambitious.
It is. But here's where it gets really interesting in terms of global support. Another significant development was the U.S. clearing the first military aid package for Ukraine that was financed entirely by allied nations.
Oh, interesting. Not just U.S. money this time.
Exactly. The key insight here isn't just the money, but that this marks a new strategic dynamic.
How so?
It opens a pathway for third-party funding to support U.S. industry production lines for Ukraine-bound equipment.
Ah, so allies pay. U.S. builds.
Essentially, yes. This could be a game changer for long-term sustainability, shifting the burden-sharing model, though immediate concerns about production capacity and, potential ammunition gaps persist.
That shift in funding structure could be a real inflection point for Ukraine's defense, couldn't it?
It really could.
It suggests a deeper, more distributed commitment. And speaking of strategic shifts, we also saw the U.S. deploying F-35 jets to Puerto Rico on September 16.
Right, that happened too.
This action signals growing concern over increasing military activity and political instability in Venezuela, reflecting broader strategic shifts in Latin America that bear watching.
Definitely something to keep an eye on there.
We've explored these complex power dynamics playing out globally, but what about at home? How are similar pressures and policy shifts manifesting within Washington, especially concerning critical economic decisions?
Good question.
Let's pivot to segment 2, U.S. power policy and economic crossroads. Domestically, all eyes were on the Federal Reserve meeting.
Absolutely. A big one.
What were the significant developments within the Fed's leadership that day?
Okay, so on September 16th, we saw a fascinating dual development that immediately heightened political scrutiny on the Fed. It was quite something.
Okay, what happened?
First, a U.S. appeals court rejected the administration's bid to remove Governor Lisa Cook, clearing her to participate in the week's critical rate-setting meeting.
So Cook stays.
Right. And almost simultaneously, the Senate narrowly confirmed Stephen Mirren, a close presidential economic advisor to the Fed board.
Mirren confirmed, Deborah.
And he was sworn in just as the two-day meeting began. So with Mirren seated and Cook remaining, Wall Street immediately started weighing the risk.
The risk of what exactly?
Well, the risk that increased political pressure could influence the path of interest rate cuts and the Fed's communications. Markets edged lower that day in anticipation.
Political pressure on the Fed.
Exactly. The deeper insight here is that this confluence of judicial and senatorial actions isn't merely about new board members. It exposes a burgeoning fault line in the perceived independence of our economic institutions.
The perception of independence.
Yes. Potentially making monetary policy more reactive to political currents than purely economic indicators.
So this isn't just about personnel. It's about the very nature of the Fed's independence and how markets might interpret that going forward.
Precisely.
Does this set a new precedent for how economic policy is viewed through a political lens? Or could one argue that this simply reflects the natural interplay between branches of government, ensuring broader representation?
That's an excellent question about precedent. While the Fed is designed to be independent, this level of simultaneous judicial and legislative intervention certainly intensifies the political backdrop against which it operates. The argument for broader representation holds some weight, sure. But the risk Wall Street perceives is specifically around influence, a potential shift from technocratic decision-making to one more sensitive to executive and legislative priorities.
Which could mean more volatility.
It could introduce volatility or unpredictability into monetary policy, yes. This raises an important question about whether the lines between economic and political agendas are blurring further.
And speaking of potential blurring lines and the balance of power in Washington, Justice Sotomayor had some remarkably strong words recently.
She did indeed. Very strong.
How do her remarks fit into this discussion of institutional independence?
They fit squarely, echoing concerns about checks and balances. On September 16th, Justice Sonia Sotomayor publicly warned against a drift toward an imperial presidency and creating a king.
Imperial presidency and king, wow.
Yeah, incredibly significant words, underscoring worries among jurists about the erosion of checks and balances, delivered as legal fights over administration actions continue to move through the courts.
So this is coming from within the judiciary itself.
Exactly. The key insight here is that these remarks highlight a deep internal tension within the judiciary about the appropriate boundaries of executive power in an era of heightened executive action and partisan divide.
Makes sense.
Predictably, Reactions split along ideological lines. Critics of the White House cited her message as a timely caution, while allies argued for robust executive authority to implement the voters' agenda.
A constitutional debate playing out in real time, it sounds like.
Pretty much, yeah.
This brings us directly to the legislative drama unfolding on Capitol Hill, another arena where these power struggles are evident. What's happening with the government's funding? That end of September deadline is looming again.
It's the familiar end of September sprint, isn't it, to keep the government open?
Feels like Groundhog Day sometime.
Doesn't it? On September 16, House Republicans advanced a short-term funding bill that included about $88 million for security across federal institutions.
Okay, $88 million for security.
Yeah.
Why that specifically?
Well, this particular allocation comes after the high-profile killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, which sparked significant security concerns for public figures.
Ah, right. That connection makes sense.
However, Democratic leaders quickly signaled their opposition to the package in its current form, raising the specter of a partial government shutdown.
So a shutdown is possible again.
It's definitely on the table. The key insight here is that this isn't just legislative gridlock over spending. It illustrates a deepening crisis of trust and security concerns permeating federal institutions.
Exacerbated by
high-profile political violence and a fragmented political landscape. Adding to this tension, FBI Director Kash Patel, a somewhat controversial figure.
Yes, I recall.
He was grilled before a Senate Judiciary Committee on September 16th, covering the Kirk investigation, dismissals of officials, and new evidence in the recently unsealed documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein case.
Wow, quite a hearing.
All of this reflects deepening partisan divides over law enforcement and government accountability. It's all connected.
So we're seeing these themes of institutional independence, partisan divides, and even questions of trust extending from the judiciary and executive branches right into the legislative process and even law enforcement.
It seems that way, yes.
And just to round out the U.S. legal and political headlines from that day, a judge dismissed terrorism charges against Luigi Mangione on September 16th.
Right, the terrorism charge specifically.
Concluding there was insufficient evidence to classify the act as terror rather than a violent crime. Also, former Senator Joe Manchin released his memoir, Dead Center.
Dead Center, appropriate title.
Detailing his proposals for bipartisanship amid the ongoing national debates over polarization, almost an appeal for stability in a deeply fractured environment.
A voice calling for the middle ground, yeah.
Now, let's transition to segment 3, tech, environment, and cultural shifts. We've discussed global and national power dynamics, but how are technology and broader societal trends shaping our future?
Okay, let's dive in.
Let's start with a major development that affects millions globally, TikTok. What's the latest in the U.S.-China saga surrounding the platform?
Right, TikTok. Late on September 16th, stretching into early September 17th, a U.S.-China agreement was confirmed.
An agreement, so it stays.
It stays, allowing TikTok to continue operating in the United States, but under a new set of conditions. This deal followed months of stop-start negotiations.
I bet reactions were all over the place.
They were mixed reactions. Some lawmakers continue to call for permanent divestment from China-based ownership, while industry analysts noted that the outcome preserves a vast advertising marketplace and a vibrant creator economy.
But with caveats, I assume.
Oh, yes. They also predicted continued oversight and potential future court challenges. The key insight here is that this deal, while preserving the ad market, signals a new era of managed tech interdependence between the U.S. and China.
Managed interdependence. Interesting phrase.
Yeah, where national security concerns will continue to dictate the terms of engagement, it sets a potential template for how other cross-border tech platforms might operate under heightened scrutiny.
That's a crucial point about a potential new template for global tech. It implies a much more regulated future for platforms caught between these two economic superpowers.
Absolutely.
And speaking of tech, for Apple users, there was a big software update that just rolled out.
Yes, iOS 26.
Bringing some fascinating new features, especially in the AI space.
Indeed, around September 15th and 16th, iOS 26 became widely available. Tech outlets highlighted a new liquid glass design language, innovative on-device translation features.
On-device translation, that's handy.
Very. And deeper AI-powered assistance, which Apple is now referring to as Apple Intelligence.
Apple Intelligence, okay.
What's truly fascinating here is also Apple's shift in its naming scheme, moving to year-based numbering with iOS 26 instead of a sequential iOS 19.
Why the change, do you think?
Well, the key insight is that Apple's aggressive move into on-device AI and its unique naming convention signify a major strategic pivot in the mobile AI arms race.
The AI arms race, right?
They're betting on privacy and user-centric features as differentiators against cloud-centric rivals, fundamentally reshaping what we expect from our devices and potentially altering the competitive landscape for years to come.
It sounds like Apple is really trying to carve out its own niche in the AI world, emphasizing privacy.
That seems to be the play, yes.
A truly historic moment on the global stage also came from Mexico on its Independence Day.
Yes, September 16th was historic for Mexico. President Claudia Sheinbaum became the first woman to preside over the Independence Day celebrations and military parade.
First woman ever. That's huge.
It is. And her remarks explicitly emphasized national sovereignty, a signal widely read as a message of independence amidst ongoing friction with Washington on security and migration issues.
Sending a message.
Clearly. The key insight is that this historic moment isn't just symbolic. Sheinbaum's explicit focus on national sovereignty signals a deliberate recalibration of Mexico-U.S. relations,
A recalibration.
asserting a more independent stance on crucial issues. This could genuinely alter regional diplomatic dynamics and how these two nations interact on their shared border and beyond.
That's a powerful statement of intent for Mexico's new leadership. On a more sobering note, we have a stark reminder of our changing climate, this time from Spain.
Yes, unfortunately, Spain logged its hottest summer on record for 2025, an announcement made on September 16th.
Hottest ever. Again. Seems like we hear this every year now.
It was becoming disturbingly frequent. The summer was about 2.1 degrees Celsius above the 1991-2020 average, surpassing the previous record set in 2022 with over 36 days of intense heat wave conditions.
Wow, 36 days.
Climate experts are warning that such extremes offer a preview of what mid-century summers will look like without deeper emission cuts, exacerbating fires, and renewing urgent calls for adaptation measures.
So this is the future happening now.
The key insight here is that Spain's record summer is a stark, quantifiable warning shot, demonstrating that the future of extreme weather is already here, not a distant threat.
Yeah.
It demands immediate, accelerated adaptation strategies beyond just emission cuts, impacting everything from agriculture to public health.
It's a powerful reminder that climate change isn't a future problem. It's a present reality with immediate consequences.
Couldn't agree more.
To round out this segment, we also saw some diverse developments in public health and the global economy.
A few more key things, yes. On September 16, China announced new measures to boost services consumption in open select sectors like internet and cultural industries.
Trying to boost their internal economy.
Exactly. This aims to lift domestic demand and signal openness, while Europe remains intensely focused on diversifying supply chain dependencies, especially for critical materials like rare earths.
So different economic strategies playing out.
Very different. Simultaneously, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration sent warning letters on September 16 to pharmaceutical giants Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, and also to Hims and Hers.
Over the weight loss drugs.
Yes, over their weight loss drug advertising. The FDA cited misleading claims and signaled a stepped-up oversight of this fast-growing market, including how telehealth prescribing models operate.
The telehealth angle.
Right. The key insight is that these seemingly disparate items highlight a global economic balancing act. China's internal push for consumption versus Europe's external supply chain focus, while the U.S. grapples with rapid market innovation in areas like weight loss drugs and telehealth. This innovation demands agile regulatory responses to protect consumers without stifling progress.
A constant challenge.
A constant challenge for governments worldwide, absolutely.
That's a lot to consider across various sectors, demonstrating how regulation struggles to keep pace with rapid innovation.
It really does.
Finally, on a more personal and cultural note, we saw two significant announcements from that day. The passing of Hollywood legend Robert Redford at age 89.
A true legend. Sad news.
Sparking a wave of tributes across the entertainment industry for his immense influence on cinema and activism.
Huge influence.
And NFL Hall of Famer Dan Marino revealed his liver disease diagnosis, urging fans to pursue regular medical checkups.
Yeah. That was surprising.
Contributing to public health advocacy, a real call to action from a beloved sports icon.
Using his platform for good, definitely.
Wow, that was an incredible deep dive, wasn't it?
It really was a packed day.
We've covered an astonishing range and volume of events from just one day, September 16th, 2025. From the intricate geopolitical chess game playing out in multiple regions to the shifting dynamics of power in Washington and the rapid pace of technological, environmental, and even cultural change, the overarching themes are clear. Constant transformation, interconnected global dynamics, and the ongoing push and pull of power in all its forms.
Well put.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener?
Indeed. It's about recognizing that these seemingly disparate news items from a single day are, in fact, all threads woven into the tapestry of our collective future.
Right, they all connect somehow.
The balance of power in international relations, the ethical implications of artificial intelligence, the stark realities of our changing climate, and even the future of our economic and health policies, they are all being shaped by these individual events.
Every piece matters.
It leaves us with something critical to ponder. In a world with such a rapid flow of information, how do we move beyond just consuming headlines to critically engaging with them, connecting the dots, and truly understanding the profound implications these shifts have for all of us?
That's the key question.
It's a question worth continually asking as we navigate this ever-evolving world.